Welcome to the Senate E12 Finance Committee. Today is January 30th, 2017. We have a quorum. And so today, members, we will have the first of two hearings focused on Minnesota's career and technical education system. We know how important this is in preparing students for the workforce. We know right now we have a very tight workforce, and it's important that we maximize our students' abilities and their opportunities. Minnesota Career and Tech Ed is one way that can do that. And we want to see how this excellent work is being done. And I personally want to look at how the state can encourage more career and tech ed. So we'll begin hearing from Geraldine Jargo, the State Director of Career and Tech Ed from Minnesota State, formerly MnSCU. Some of us still say MnSCU. So if you could approach the table, please. And also we have Paula Palmer, Director of Career and College Success from Minnesota Department of Education. And we have Michelle Kamenvaw, you're going to help me with that name, Supervisor of Career Development and Career Tech Ed for the Minnesota Department of Ed. So welcome. If you could please state your name for the record, whoever would like to start. Welcome to the committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Geraldine Jargo, State Director.
And ma'am, if you can speak into the mic, ours are very hot, but yours is not. So speak right into that mic, please.
So testing, now can you hear me? Geraldine Jargo, State Director, Career and Technical Education, and I am employed by Minnesota State. And to my right.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Michelle Kamenov from the Minnesota Department of Education, and I'm the Supervisor for Career Development and Career Technical Education. And to the other side is...
My name is Paula Palmer, the Director of Career and College Success at the Minnesota Department of Education, and we thank you very much for this opportunity to talk about career and technical education, which approximately 50% of our secondary students in Minnesota are participants in career and technical education, so this is a very important topic.
Thank you. We're going to approach this telling you a little bit about the triad of the work that we do with career and technical education. This is not ergonomically comfortable, so give me a second here to kind of fidget. So if we look at what we do in Minnesota, one of our primary funding sources for career and technical education comes out of the Carl D. Perkins Funding Act. It's federal funding. And that federal funding comes to Minnesota State, formerly known as MnSCU, and we, in concert with Minnesota Department of Education, administer that fund, and we do it with local consortia, 26 local consortia, who do the work directly with our students. So my primary responsibility is the coordination of that grant and working with the other entities. All of the work in Minnesota that comes under Carl D. Perkins is focused around 5 goals. The first one is development of rigorous programs of study and career pathways, partnering with business, industry, and local communities, improving service to our special populations, providing a continuum of services and transitions for students, and then lastly, sustaining the 26 consortia of school districts and public 2-year institutions. In Minnesota, the Perkins dollars go directly to K-12 or our 2-year institutions. None of our universities receive Perkins for career and technical education.
Thank you. Again, Madam Chair, Michelle Kamenov from the Department of Education.
Ms. Kamenov.
To provide some information for you, last year, so this is a single-year snapshot, last year we served in Minnesota 246,772 high school students and post-secondary students across the state. So again, a single year. So while we want to do more, today you'll have an opportunity to hear about some of the remarkable programs and examples of career technical education in Minnesota. And we'll also talk about some of the barriers to reaching more of our students and ways in which we may be able to sustain and or grow those programs in order to support local as well as our state economic needs. You'll see a little bit here, there is something about career technical education. We're not sure exactly what that is, so whether that is the experiential learning environment, hands-on experiences, or that students are self-selecting their participation in some of these programs. You will see, based on some of the information in looking at the graduation rates, that our career technical education students are doing well, not only graduating from high school, but also retention, employment, and or moving on to post-secondary.
If we looked at the post-secondary students, they are also successful. 80% of the college students post-secondary who are CTE concentrators, they've taken more than one course, they've committed to a program, graduate, and also 85% of them are placed or retained in employment in the second quarter following their graduation, their completion.
I would also like to note when we look at our graduation rates, that we talk about students in the context of being a concentrator. And so the concentrator definition that we use in Minnesota is students who are taking 240 hours or more of career technical education courses and programs. So I think that's an important piece for us to note. When you take a look at our high school CTE students and those four-year graduation rates, the graphic that you see will show, again, that the gap between our CTE white students and our CTE students of color is 9%. So again, we're not sure exactly what is causing this particular CTE data. There may be more than one cause, but certainly looking that our CTE students are graduating on time.
Again, just a detour to think about the administrative model of the Perkins funding and really our career and technical education goals for our students. It's a triad. It's Minnesota State with the post-secondary institutions, it's Minnesota Department of Education and all of their work, and the real work again goes to the local Perkins consortia. In Minnesota, we are organized to do this work around 26 consortia. And each consortia has a minimum of one two-year college and one school district. And you can see on the call-out, we have two examples where we have one college and one district, that's Minneapolis, one college, one district, 7 high schools. St. Paul, again, one college, one district, 8 high schools. And in the bottom left-hand corner of the map in that beautiful periwinkle blue is Poor Minnesota West, one college, 5 campuses, but they enable the work of 43 districts. So we applaud them for that work. These consortia were set up with geographic proximity, obviously. I believe that the majority of them now have been in place for 10 years. We do have a process if districts want to change, to add, or move to another consortia. If we look at just Perkins dollars, and at the secondary level, certainly funding also comes through the levy, reimbursement through the levy, and on general operating funds, if that's the choice that the district makes. At the post-secondary, we also have tuition from students. But if we just look at the Perkins funding, the average award that goes to a consortia is $545,450. So just $500,000 is awarded through those federal fundings specifically to improve and continue career and technical education. The lowest award that we've done is $116,420, and the highest is $1,476,544. Those numbers are a calculation, an approved calculation that's in our state Perkins plan. So your head count, the number of CTE students that you would have, your socioeconomics are factors. It's not a simple calculation, I'll just say that. Happy to have you help us calculate it when it comes around. I probably shouldn't have made that offer. Again, we're organized by eligible recipients at the local level. And all of our work, as I said, centers around goals. But the primary driver of what we're doing are career pathways and rigorous programs of study. Somewhere in your packet you have what we affectionately call the wheel. And if you look at the outside of the wheel, there's 6 career pathways, career fields are the largest designator. And those career fields would be what we use if we're looking at an interest, or an organization of employers that might have similar clients or similar products. It might be an awareness at the student level. These are the things that I like. And as we move in, you can see that we move to a career cluster that's organized within a career field, and even more discrete would be at a career pathway, which might be at a college level or a program level. We use the term career pathway, and it's an organized sequence of courses that should enable a student to start one place and move forward. It doesn't mean that you're locked into a career pathway. There's a myth that says if you're a career and tech student, you take one set of training and you get one job and that's your lifelong set. That really is a myth. And I stole this from St. Paul College, but with Career and Technical, start here and go anywhere. Figure out what you like, figure out what doesn't work for you, get a Career and Technical award and use it as a part-time job to do something else, or find your passion the first time around and stay with that pathway. If we looked at WIOA and some of the other federal legislation, they are also using the term career pathway. That most closely aligns with what Perkins' language would say is a rigorous program of study. And a rigorous program of study actually has 10 components. You can see them on the slide. It would be a good test if I could rattle them off to you. But if you look at the rigorous program of study, you have the course sequence. It's kind of an orange gear right in the center. But surrounding it are the supports, the policies, all of the other things that are there to make sure that our students are successful as they start in a high school, move on to a college, and move on to life. Or if they enter from being employed at maybe a different position or different job, come back in, enter the rigorous program of study, and go on for employment at that point.
To give you just a little bit of a picture of what our programs look like.
Ms. Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To give you just a little bit of a picture of what career technical education looks like at the secondary level in Minnesota, 81% of our school districts are offering one or more approved career technical education programs. And that number does include charter schools. So when we talk about an approved program, we do talk about those programs that have a career technical education licensed teacher and instructor, and that there is a sequence of courses of 3 or more. They also have an advisory committee that advises that program that is made up of at least 50% of business and industry representatives. So to put into context, there may be a number of other career technical education-like courses that are offered at a school that would not necessarily be included in this number, again, because they may not be a part of an approved program. Paula mentioned earlier, 50% of our high school students are enrolled in one or more career technical education course. This is a statistic that we have from a last school year, our data set, so it is very recent. 29% of our students are taking one or more, and those are the students that are a concentrator. Again, a reminder, 240 hours is how we would define a concentrator. And 61% of those career technical education students who are concentrators do enroll in some form of post-secondary education within that first semester after graduation. Again, looking at the number of our secondary programs, we wanted to provide you with some information about the number of programs that we have in each of our content areas. So you'll see the numbers here that we do have a single count within each of the individual programs. However, when you get into the number of students and the number of courses taken, please note that there are students that could be counted more than once. So for example, a student may take an agriculture as well as taking a business and marketing course. So for the purposes of just looking at agriculture, you'll see the number of students who took one or more courses in agriculture. The number that is there is not duplicated, but our student count, they may be taking courses in more than one career technical education program area. Perkins accountability. We are accountable to specific indicators under Perkins law. There is great alignment between those performance indicators from the secondary to the post-secondary side. The secondary side does have a couple of additional indicators. We do measure and take a look at academic attainment in reading as well as mathematics. And so we do have 2 additional indicators that we measure under Perkins.
Madam Chair.
Ms. Jargo?
Just to also point out, when we look at these accountability measures, if you look at the non-trad, we're going to talk about non-trad participation next. Non-trad in the Perkins world is limited to non-trad by gender. So the stereotypical example is if I were to take welding, or if we had a gentleman in our healthcare programs. That's the stereotype of non-trad. That's all it's referring to when it talks about non-trad. We do, though, in one of our goals, need to improve services to special populations. And special populations, again, in this legislation, has specific parameters. Special population means individuals with disabilities, economically disadvantaged families, individuals preparing for the non-trad fields, single parents, displaced homemakers, and individuals with limited English proficiency. And if we looked at the overarching goal of what we're doing currently in career and technical education, it very much is centered around ensuring equitable services, access, and opportunities to all students. And the local consortium, as I said before, is getting the majority of the funding that comes through our federal Perkins. We also have some statewide leadership funds, and we use those statewide leadership funds to improve services to special populations. So it's a funding leadership initiative. We use it when we're doing technical assistance at the local level. Certainly we have partnerships with community initiatives, our student organizations, which you'll hear about on Wednesday, I believe, and partnerships with other state agencies and departments within state agencies, such as ABE would be part of what we're funding here. Oh, sorry, adult basic ed, yes. We have initiatives with 7 of our colleges right now related to Low Income Poverty Institute, and we also have done a lot of training lately on cultural competency to recognize that the student profile has been changing, and we need to be respectful of that and prepared for that. Overall strengths and challenges. You're going to hear from some programs. It's going to be more fun than the baseline data that we gave you. But we did take a survey of overall, what are we doing well with career and technical education, and where do we have challenges? And some of these challenges came out of the 2015 inventory that Minnesota Department of Education did, as well as if you talk to our local consortia, you're going to hear these challenges as well. First of all, the strengths, student success. We know that students who are touched by career and technical education have a higher success rate in that course, in that program, in that high school, in that college. We know we have strengths in partnerships. You'll hear many of those. There seems to be a strength in our consortium structure. It causes secondary and post-secondary to have conversations, and the conversations might be driven by how are we going to spend money. I'm okay with that. It's causing critical conversations beyond that. Our students in career and technical education have foundation knowledges and skills. If you went back to the handout with the wheel, the center of the wheel is beige. Those skills are what students need in career and technical education. Real honestly, we all need them. They're skills like innovation, flexibility, teamwork, critical thinking. They're needed by all of us. And lastly, I always put as our strength, we change lives. We have a lot of students who aren't sure where they're going. They may or may not stick with career and technical the rest of their lives. But if we can give them a small success up front anywhere, that's student success and that's changing lives. Challenges, these shouldn't surprise you. Funding, and funding is very much related to the third bullet around equipment and facilities. We have some facilities that are 1972, circa 1972, I could say, and it's time for some upgrade. Licensure, finding licensed, skilled teachers at the right time for the right students is a challenge. The schedules and the local graduation requirements can be a challenge. If you look at a student, high school student schedule right now, the chance for them to have room to take electives, which would probably be their career and technical education courses, is a struggle. The school down the road might have it, but then we have to worry about busing schedules. What am I missing if I'm on a bus? So schedules and local district graduation requirements are something that we just need to work on. And access, again, matching student interests with program availability. We might have someone in the southwest corner of the state who wants a career and technical program that's only available in the metro area. That's problematic, and that's not equitable access. So how do we have that happen? Are there blended pedagogies and instructional technologies that we could use? In some cases, we're actually moving the equipment and the teacher as opposed to moving the students, but these are challenges that we have. Lastly, just as some consortia highlights, these are pictures of some of the students that have participated in non-trad and non-traditional workshops. We do a lot of workshops, summer camps, those kinds of programs, including some bridge programs, to let folks know about the opportunities of career and technical education. Often they absolutely have no idea that it exists, that it's a possibility and opportunity for them. So here are just some of our students. And now I put the wheel back up because I'm going to give you a quiz and see if you can remember what the 6 career fields are. Hello? And Madam Chair, I'd like to have Paula Palmer do our conclusion, and I'm going to take this slide set down and bring another one up.
Thank you, Ms. Palmer. And let me just note that the committee did not have the slide presentation that you just went through. And so I know we'd certainly like to get that, and particularly I'm interested in the piece on barriers and challenges. So if we could make sure and get that later, that'd be wonderful. Ms. Palmer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is a time for us to entertain your questions as well. And then after that, we do have 3 entities that would like to present to you about their specific programs. So we are open to questions.
Any questions? I'll start off. I was focused on the high school graduation rates for kids who took at least one college and tech ed course, or in the case, the concentrators who took more. And if you can find that slide that showed 92%, 93, 93%, in 2014 through 16 as far as CTE white students, and then the blue line showed the CTE students of color. And I think it's important as we look at that, I've asked Mr. Cook to tell us what the graduation rates are for kids who do not take career and tech ed courses. Can you tell us that? Mr. Cook.
Madam Chair, sorry, I just put away that information, but it was, from memory, it was about 20% or 20 points lower than the CTE students. So
yes.
It was still, the CTE students of color were still quite a ways ahead of the non-CTE students.
Yes, and that was my recollection as well. And so while we are sorry to see any sort of gap, I think it's critically important. I wish this slide did include exactly what those graduation rates are for kids who don't take career and tech ed, because we know that career tech ed really increases those graduation rates significantly. So that was just my question. Any other questions, committee? As we look at the barriers, I have one other brief question. I believe a few years ago, we were trying to get more career and tech ed teachers available into our schools, and I think we allowed something called a community expert. Is that correct? And if so, I'd like to know, has that been helpful as far as getting more instructors? Ms. Yargo.
Well, yes, we have community experts, and sometimes it works well, and we still have shortages. And there are several groups working on this problem. One is testifying Thursday morning. There's lots of activity, lots of research, and lots of study around this. It's a national problem. We can't get teachers in general, but certainly career and technical teachers is problematic. And career experts, if you look at career and technical teachers, they have to have a content expert. They have to know about the students and how to teach. And they also need to know about the industry and how to run a program. So it's bringing those elements together and paying them at a rate that keeps them on the educational side and not working in private. There's just some challenges, but I'm confident we've got a lot of work that's currently going on around this, both in Minnesota and nationally, and we'll work toward that.
Thank you. I look forward to seeing those potential solutions. All right, any other questions? Senator Uyghur?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Very successful results, and I'm wondering if you have any recommendations on our current standards and whether there's any suggestions on more flexibility for these students in their track. Sometimes I'll hear from students that they would like to have more of a focus on that career tech, but taking some courses doesn't contribute to that track. Maybe that's a short-sighted vision, but any thoughts or as to our future planning to help us better accomplish our goals to even a higher attainment level?
Madam Chair, they all looked at me. So Paula Palmer, Director of Career and College Success. So that is one of the golden questions, obviously. We do have something called the rigorous course waiver, which is an option for districts to determine locally if whatever courses, rigorous courses their students take do meet specific standards. And in some ways that works well, and in some ways that's a little bit of a bigger stretch for districts. But in Minnesota, with local control, there is quite a bit of flexibility for districts to make those decisions. And as you know, districts set their own graduation requirements for the kinds of courses that their students need. I mean, there are some that are a given, but then after that, districts can make those decisions. Some districts have more than other districts, and so there, lies some flexibility versus not. I think one of the things that we are very cognizant of is some of those very students that we're really trying to engage in career technical education are some of the ones that have the most challenge in accessing it because of other things that they're required to take.
One further question, and our next testifiers can be getting ready. I know we're running short on time, but I'd like to know the governor's budget that was just recently released. We see this as highly successful, and we know the governor's very much about doing what works, as are we. That's the most important thing, are the results and what is working to prepare our kids for today, tomorrow's jobs. So what type of was there a funding increase, or what did the governor propose in his budget regarding career tech aid or levy?
Madam Chair?
Yes, Ms. Palmer.
So our understanding is that the governor's budget increases the general revenue by 2%, which again is a local decision how that is used. So that would be up to the district if they wanted to funnel that or focus that on career and technical education or not. But there's an additional general revenue for every student to scale up, build, sustain, grow any program of their choice.
Okay, so that's the 2% on the per pupil formula then each year. Was there anything in particular for career and tech ed?
I don't believe so, no, right? Nothing specific that would
Okay.
have a wide, every student impact.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the presentation. Make sure we get those handouts. And then I believe our next testifiers are information technology. We have an IT presentation. Is this correct? Russell Frankel, IT Pathways Director in Advanced IT Minnesota. We have Robert Lowe, Coordinator of Dual Enrollment and Perkins at Normandale Community College. It looks, unfortunately, like we're running a bit behind, so I'm going to ask if we can pick up the pace a minute. I do know many of us have a meeting tonight right after this meeting, and we're hoping that this presentation is about 12 to 15 minutes.
12 to 15, here you go.
And so, Mr. Frankel, if you could introduce yourself for the committee, and are you our first testifier then?
That is correct.
All right, if you'll introduce yourself for the committee, please.
Madam
Welcome.
Chair, members of the committee, good afternoon. My name is Russell Frankel. I'm a IT Career Pathways and Partnerships Director with Advance IT Minnesota, and in a minute I'll tell you more about that.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. Welcome to the committee. Please introduce yourself for the tape, please.
Obviously, I am not Robert Lowe from Normandale Community College. He had a medical emergency. My name is Debbie Belfry. I'm the Career Technical Education Director for Bloomington Public Schools and a co-coordinator of the Southwest Metro Perkins Consortium.
Thank you. Would you kindly spell your last name since we don't have it on the agenda here?
Yes, it is B like in boy, E-L-F-R-Y.
Thank you, Ms. Belfry. All right, Mr. Frankel, please address the committee.
Okay, thank you. And again, good afternoon. The Minnesota State Center of Excellence in Information Technology is Advance IT Minnesota. And during the Pawlenty administration 10 years ago, 4 centers were established through the Minnesota State Colleges and Universities system. One of them, Advance IT Minnesota. The other 3 are engineering, were in engineering, manufacturing, and healthcare. And since that time, an additional 4 centers have emerged. These are all part of economic engines of the state. They are in energy, transportation, and agriculture. And so I'm here today to kind of talk with you about one of the centers and the pathway work that occurs with career and technical education partners as well as employer partners and all kinds of folks that kind of work together on behalf of the need for talent development in the state of Minnesota. This slide essentially talks about the business that we're in, and I'll just share with you that our work sort of exists at the intersection where talent development providers exist, where employers exist with their needs, educators, both at the high school and college level, continuing education needs for IT people, and students ranging from middle school, and you'll hear from Debbie in a moment, and earlier, all the way through adults. And you can see the partnerships, but I think what I want to share with you is that we're really in the business of, there's nothing that we do in Advance IT Minnesota that does not involve partners. So that's one of our kind of tenets for our business, and so it makes great sense that we're here today to talk about that with you. This next slide kind of speaks about a number of the strategies that we have in existence at this stage, ranging from lower level sort of engagement with students, and I would describe that as, for instance, Tech It Out Minnesota, which is a presentation that occurs by IT professionals from various companies in the state or in the metropolitan area, going into high schools, many high schools, and middle schools, and talking about information technology as a career. The goal is to demystify what it is, where it happens, why it happens, and who does it. And you can all kind of think about the myths that exist and the misconceptions. And so the goal here is to help young people understand, you know, what exactly the profession is about and all the exciting, wonderful things. And the truth of the matter is that IT is at the center of everything they do and everything we do. Today is a great example of that, all the technology in this room. And what we help young people to see is that technology it's one thing to be a power user, it's yet another to be a creator. And so our goal is to help them pull back that sort of that drape on the stage and help them see that behind the scene, there's all kinds of wonderful things that they can do. So if you go down this line, the things that I want to point out for you is the fact that we're involved with many programs, and we're intentionally going after students that, in particular, that are underserved. They're diverse students, and they're worthy of this opportunity to work in the IT field. For instance, we have 2 programs targeted to girls in high school. One is the Aspirations in Computing Award in partnership with the National Center for Women and Information Technology. We also are involved with the Sparks program, which is a year-round opportunity working with employers, working with other providers, and getting girls engaged in the field. Our belief is one of the surest ways to fill the pipeline for information technology talent is to go after girls in particular and students of color as well. I want to point out to you that a couple of our other partnerships, you might be familiar with these particular entities, are Genesis Works, which is an opportunity for high school students to be able to work in their senior year at a company in the metropolitan area. These students receive all kinds of technical and non-technical skill preparation. And as you can imagine, this is their first opportunity, in some cases, for a job and an opportunity for a good job, because it often leads to a pathway in further education. The other is we do business with the Black Data Processing Associates. It's a BDPA is what it's now called. And that particular group and the Achieve Minneapolis Step Up group are groups that we tailor programs to once again, help those students understand what's available to them within the IT field and to grow their awareness and inspire their interest.
Mr. Russell,
Yep.
We are running short on
Okay.
time, and so I'm hoping that you can perhaps draw our attention to the pieces that are most important.
we can do that.
And fortunately, this is in your packet, members, so
Okay.
we can review this, but please be sure to draw our attention to those things that are most important. Mr.
All right.
Russell.
All right. Well, I was going to show you a 2-minute movie, but I won't do that, okay? But I'm going to describe to you what the movie is about. So this video is about, and I encourage you to watch it. There's the link for it. But I want to just share with you that what it's about is that there's a high school teacher in Burnsville. There's a college faculty member from Inver Hills Community College working in a classroom at Burnsville High School, and they're cooperatively working with students to prepare them, get them excited about a future in technology, some type of technology work. It's a very, very successful program. We have an IT exploration curriculum that we've created. It's of no cost to school districts to use. There are many school districts in the state that are using it. When this particular video came out 3 years ago, there were a couple of partnerships between Minnesota State School and some local high schools, and since then, many more have come on board. In fact, I see Senator Uyghur here, and he's from my neck of the woods, and Senator Chamber, thank you, sir, thank you. For instance, White Bear Lake is a partner that utilizes this. And the whole notion is, let's get them to that local college, Century College in this case, or some other institution, and prepare them for employment. I think with that, I'm going to end my part. I think I will just tell you that the things that we need is anytime you have successful programs, you look to scale them. You look to scale them up. And so I would ask you to consider, support for articulated credit options, legislative support of community career and technical education efforts to prepare secondary students for a mixture of options. A 4-year degree isn't necessarily the only option for students. Could be 2 years, could be some credentials, could be a diploma, anything that's an aligned pathway to a great technology job. And then the whole notion I indicated is this notion of resources for impacting the scale of our programs. And so I'd ask you to take a look at that and how we might better fund programs that are successful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Frankel. That is exactly what we want to do, is fund those things that are working. And thank you for bringing this to our attention. I look forward to
Yes.
learning more about how we can help scale that up. And now, Ms. Belfry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to highlight a couple of programs, even at our elementary levels in Minnesota. I'm going to speak to some programs that are part of the Southwest Metro Perkins Consortium. In Jordan, for example, and many school districts throughout the state, are coding clubs, and we hear a lot about coding nowadays. They have coding clubs, and many districts are embedding their coding exercises and activities now into their curriculum. So elementary students are getting that exposure very early. That helps them move on to something, and again, a program in Jordan, their tech help desk course by the time they get to high school, so students are learning actually to help their own school district in the repair of Chromebooks and those types of activities. Many districts also have robotics clubs or robotics courses, and there too, they're utilizing and implementing IT-type softwares and curriculum. As you move to a middle school, I'll give you an example from Bloomington. Valley View Middle School initiated a computer science course, a Project Lead the Way course, and that program now is moving more students into high school courses in the area of IT and business education, or into programs that may be extracurricular. As Mr. Frankel said, Genesis Works has been very embedded in the culture of Kennedy High School in Bloomington, with many, many students experiencing success in that type of extracurricular program. The Southwest Metro Intermediate District 288 also provides for many school districts opportunities in computer repair, computer networking, and embedded within that curriculum are certifications, which Mr. Frankel referred to, so that students have the opportunity to earn certifications within these business and industry areas. And that helps also move them on to post-secondary education options and shows students a pathway into what is possible as they move on to post-secondary education. Of course, as Mr. Frankel also mentioned, was the options for certifications, academic credentialing, articulated credit being developed in high school, concurrent enrollment. And so we are really helping our students understand the nature of what they are doing in their secondary programs translates and creates a logical pathway into post-secondary education. So on behalf of our CTE community, students and parents, business and industry, we want to thank you for all of your interest in career technical education, your concern for it, and your support of career and technical education.
Thank you, Ms. Belfry. Any comments, questions from the committee? Thank you so much. And if we could have our next presenters, that would be the St. Louis Park model, Cara Mueller and Tim Jennison. If you could join us, please. Kindly, Ms. Mueller, if you'd introduce yourself for the committee, please.
Madam Chair, thank you. I am Cara Mueller. I'm the Career and Tech Ed Director for St. Louis Park Schools, as well as the Career and College Coordinator.
And my name,
Mr. Mueller. Mr. Jennison.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Tim Jennison. I am the Advisory Board Chair, and I am employed at Blue Cross Blue Shield and represent the community and business.
Thank you. Ms. Mueller.
Well, thank you very much for this time, and I'm honored to be able to share with you what St. Louis Park Schools is doing with Career and Tech Ed and who's all involved. We're striving for the world's best workforce. St. Louis Park High School has career pathways of study, teachers, and students all involved in Career and Tech Ed. How we came to be our Pathways of Study, I just want to give you a little indicator that, an introduction that we used economic indicators for our, I apologize, the whole slide did not come through. In our presentation, I just want you to know that when we were building out our 5 programs of study, we used St. Louis Park's economic indicators on high need, high wage jobs for the future between 2009 and 19. And we went to the Department of Economic Development to pull that data. When we pulled the data, we found out that our largest area of employment was the healthcare industry, and we had no pathway for students to pursue careers in healthcare. So that's how we came about with our 5 programs of study. We have business, engineering, technology, health sciences, law and public policy, media arts, and then by no means is a student forced into one of these programs. They have the option, so there is multidisciplinary, and they just take it from all areas. And then another key component to our Career and Tech Ed program is our advisory program.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Jennison.
I'm privileged to be leading a great group of individuals, 44 members on our advisory board, made up of non-community, community members, post-secondary school businesses from different verticals of business, whether it's insurance, healthcare, to hospital, retail. And what it brings to the school, and more importantly our students and our staff, is a high level of energy. And the expectation for our members is truly to engage and be active participants. This isn't about showing up for a board meeting, maybe 3 times a year. This is truly getting involved with our staff that are some of which are part of our board, and actually engaging and bringing to the table their expertise and their knowledge and their experience. And the board also focuses every year in the beginning of the year, what are our goals and objectives as aligned to our district strategic plan, which is really important so that we have alignment. And we basically quickly then work through different options in terms of what are we going to execute on this year to really help make a difference in our school.
So what we,
Ms.
Madam
Mueller.
Chair, thank you. So what we do, so Career and Tech Ed in St. Louis Park with teachers, students, and our professional advisory board, we collaborate. We meet on a regular basis. The teachers meet with our chair. The teachers get involved with the entire board. We bring students' involvement. We create career-relevant and very rigorous curriculum. We deliver project-based curriculum. We offer experiential learning opportunities. We operate school-based enterprises. We have 3 school-based enterprises on our high school campus. We participate in co-curricular clubs and activities. We help students build and identify their skills and strengths. Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Jennison.
Yeah, and on the skills and strength, this is near and dear to my heart and a lot of business professionals, because we're recognizing that, yes, there's definitely hard skills that students need to learn, and we don't want to minimize that. But at the same time, we recognize the need for true leadership characteristics and behaviors. So we actually took time in one of our board meetings. We always do this. We have some activities. So we come out of there with some real tangible deliverables that we can help inform our staff and our students. And one of them was the skills and strengths. So we actually brainstormed and said, what's important to businesses today, especially with the changing environment that we're in? It's significant. It's exponential change. So how do we prepare our students, and what are the key skills or strengths that are necessary, some of which were mentioned in the prior discussion in terms of the CTA program. So we emphasized what are those priority ones, and we isolated those, and then we turned that around and actually provided that to staff for them to really look at that from their curriculum and say, how do we interject or integrate that into the curriculum?
We
Ms.
offer
Mueller?
multiple, Madam Chair, sorry. We offer multiple pathways to post-secondary credits. When I've been in my role for many years, and when we decided to realign our Academy Advisory Board based off our programs of study, we were very intentional about the students having multiple pathways to earning a college credit. We went from having 2 articulated classes to having 14 now. And we also have an AP Computer Science in our Career and Tech Ed pathways as well. So we've expanded greatly with the help of post-secondary on our advisory board and the advisors from the business world, and then our teachers implementing their recommendations. And then what we also do is we host a lot of events for our students. More importantly, what's our impact? One thing I want you to know is I'm just going to give you a story of impact. With a teacher at our school, we hired a quality teacher. He's a business education major. And he came in with an awesome attitude about, if you need me, I'll do it. And we really knew we had a need in computer science. And in that pathway, we didn't have a teacher. But with the help of my advisory board, they introduced me to an individual in the community who we hired and trained our teacher over the summer in Introduction to Programming Java. That teacher used his own time, was trained by our business partner, came back to school in the fall, and got Introduction to Programming up and running, and it's thriving to the point now we're going to AP Computer Science with it. We have a whole pathway within technology because of that, the strength of our board and our teachers working together. That's one story.
Is that one of the community experts?
No, my teacher is a licensed business education teacher, and then the expert came from our advisory board.
Sure, but the community expert was able to teach then because of...
Just teach my teacher.
To teach the teacher.
Teach the teacher.
Thank you for...
Teach the teacher.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Jennison.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. The student and staff engagement is significant, and there's multiple options that we leverage every year in terms of engagement, whether that's field trips in terms of Piper Jaffray, so students get a really good understanding. What does that mean? What does a trading floor mean, and what does it mean to be a broker? It opened their eyes to something they had not seen. District courthouse. They actually got to play roles in a district courthouse and as a judge and an attorney, so it was really energizing. And the kids are so smart, it was amazing what they could come up with as they ad-libbed in terms of what does that look like. Interactive presentation, so we actually had an expert come in to present on how to present. Critical skill in the business world. Not too many do it well in our business community, and they need help, and I thought, gosh, students really could use this as a skill. And it's across the board. It doesn't matter which field you're in, right? LinkedIn professional profiles. Why is that important? Kids are very digitally savvy. However, they need to recognize what that means in terms of a professional perspective. The list goes on in terms of the engagement.
Ms. Mueller.
Thank you. The improvement to our courses has been very, very intentional. We sit down with our post-secondary educators and within our consortium for the Perkins Consortium, and we bring together our high school teachers with those professors and areas of experts from the post-secondary world and then the business world, and we make sure we're teaching to the standards of the industry and to the post-secondary. So our courses are much more rigorous and intentional. And then I already talked about the college credits we're doing more of, and the other thing I am in charge of the personal learning plan for all the students in high school, which is under the state law. And all students no later than 9th grade have a personal learning plan. And so we can say every single 9th grader in St. Louis Park School is getting touched on in their own plan. And then on top of it, they made aware of career and tech ed opportunities to help them with their plan, as well as our core academics as well.
Ms. Mueller, could you just spend a moment about that individualized career planning?
You bet.
Can you tell us, has it been valuable? Give an example,
You
or
bet.
whatever, please.
Thank you. It's actually a unique tie-in at the same time. We're also big on getting our students' voice. And so we run the advisory, they're called advisory periods at St. Louis Park High School. They have them once a month. And every single teacher in our building is involved as an advisor. I then come together and create the curriculum and then give it out to the teachers, and the teachers deliver it to the students. Just recently, we, because of the help of the advisory board, decided we needed to have the students' voice, so we conducted an informational interviews with students from grades 9 through 12. And it was wonderful information because of how many students, when we asked them about how are you learning about your career and college readiness, they all referred back to their advisories. Now, they want more time, to be honest with you. They want more one-on-one time. We saw great growth from 9th through 12th grade, And the juniors we interviewed, you saw immediate stress on their face. They are panicked, they're fearful. ACT, SAT, careers, college, what am I going to do? We need a lot of support for our students.
Thank you.
So, sorry. But it's going wonderful.
Thank you.
Madam, we are working very hard to communicate with all of our stakeholders. We are regularly, every single week, have a newsletter out to the community via internet. We have a website up and running for the students. And then, as much as possible, we have events to invite the community in to participate. And we're also shifting our philosophy from a university for all to there's a post-secondary plan for everybody, and it doesn't mean that everybody's going to have a four-year university degree.
Mr. Jennison.
Yes, and to finish on the impact, and as an example, and stemming off what Kara had just spoken to, in terms of the student voice, we actually introduced a technique that we actually use in our business world, consumer experience design, and what that means is we need to be empathetic in terms of that consumer or that individual. So why don't we try that with our students? Let's understand what they're thinking, saying, doing, and feeling as part of that interview process to get in their heads in terms of what do they think of career and college readiness and what's needed, what do they feel is needed, what resonates with them. And that truly was the foundation for the interview process to solicit that information from them, which we found to be very informative and will definitely inform not only this program, but in addition to our brand. How do we position this better so that it resonates with students?
Thank you.
Madam
Ms.
Chair,
Mueller.
out of that, I want to read a quote from one of our students. What does CCR look like for you? What do you do to get ready for your career or college? For him, it's not about what will look good on an application, but developing the skills that will be handy, like internships, familiarity with industries of interest, and tailoring high school classes to match this. And this individual knows, and he actually was very intentional about taking his marketing program because of his career interests. CTE allows students to take courses for their interests.
Thank you. Any questions? Oh, one more slide.
I apologize. Madam Chair?
Please continue.
Okay. What could we do with additional resources? We could expand educational experiential opportunities so more students would have opportunities. We really need to build in more hands-on learning opportunities. We need to be able to update our facilities to bring us fabrication labs, bring us health science laboratories, interdisciplinary collaboration, so that we can innovate and continue to collaborate.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Jennison.
And on innovation, this is a big space in terms of being able to differentiate in the business world. Innovation is one of the key differentiators. The technique or the approach to doing that is an innovation lab. As an example, the ability to try things out, experiment, fail, learn. And so it makes sense from a business perspective, gosh, can we inject this into the school curriculum and into the physical building so that students have the same opportunity? And the beauty of that is they come out of that high school education and take that with them through their post-secondary up through their career, and it's already baked in their mind in terms of this is how we go about solving problems as aligned to a business.
Just want to
Ms.
show
Mueller.
off our Career Pathway Advisory Board members, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Any questions? If the next group could come up. Yes, Senator Tomassoni.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So do they all show up for the meetings?
The advisory board?
Yes.
Yes, actually, they actually apologize when they can't be there. And excuse me, Madam
Yes,
Chair, if
Ms.
I can
Mueller.
introduce.
Ms. Mueller.
The facilitator for my advisory board is in our audience, and Carrie Jennison, and she's awesome about making sure they get reminders and emails and RSVPs, and so, yes, they're all showing up.
Thank you. Ms. Mueller or Mr. Jennison, can you just briefly tell me, are there collaborations then beyond the business board members, but are businesses collaborating with you as far as curriculum or teaching an hour of code or things like that? Are there collaborations in the classroom with the students?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Ms. Mueller.
One unique collaboration came from introducing us to an engineering firm and Kimberly Horn for our engineering students to go on a field trip. When we went on that field trip and they had an experience there, someone made a comment about marketing within engineering. So lo and behold, the marketing division of Kimley Horn started working with my lead teacher in marketing program at the high school, and now the introduction to marketing students work every couple weeks with Kimley Horn's marketing executive, and the students come forward with a project and a promotion, and they put it out in front of a group of Kimley Horn execs, and they act as if they would hire one of the groups. But Kimley Horn came back after they completed it because they were so impressed with what the students actually offered. They came back and videotaped students to take it back to their corporate office to share what these kids are coming up with.
What a great collaboration to share, kind of like Shark Tank.
You bet.
For the marketing. Excellent. All right, any other questions, members? Senator Uyghur.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Very impressive. What's done for ninth grade as a key point where you're especially at risk, and does the program address ninth graders
Madam
as they
Chair.
are looking at their courses?
Ms. Mueller.
Thank you. It's an excellent question. And actually, at St. Louis Park history is we're very intentional with our ninth graders. We have a program called BAR, Building Assets, Reducing Risks, in which it's making sure that ninth grade matters. Ninth grade is often an indicator year that if you're successful through ninth grade, you will succeed through high school. And so we're very intentional about grouping teachers and students together to stay on top of things. And then on top of that, all of our ninth grade students take a class called Information Communication Literacy. And it's a blend of understanding the technologies they're going to need to know and use while the next 4 years in high school, and also to introductory level research so that they can research appropriately and not break the rules of plagiarism. And so we have an intentional course for all ninth graders, and we have an intentional program for all ninth graders. And also, we have our advisory program where they all participate in building their personal learning plan.
Briefly,
Senator
Madam-
Uyghur.
When is that personal learning plan actually completed, and do the parents or guardians sign off on that?
Yes.
Ms. Mueller.
Madam Chair, thank you. It is a work in progress. My personal learning plan changes too. So every single session, they have their PLP in front of them. They make their changes based off where they're at, what they've learned, what new skill, what new strength, and they revisit it every month when they're in session, and then every year they revisit it. And then at the point of a parent signing off on it, to be real honest with you, they share with their parents, but we've never had a parent's signature on it at this point. So I hope to get nobody in trouble, but that's where we're at.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You're speaking to some of the legislators who actually passed that legislation about the
Oh,
personal
thank
learning
you.
plan. I think, I know I was an author on that. I think Senator Uyghur was as well, probably. So thank you very much for giving us the update. Very exciting. And if we could have Mr. Michael Lean and Mr. Marty Wojciechowski. You're going to have to help me with that, please. I'll have you come up. And Miss Jessica Lipa. If you'd kindly introduce yourself for the tape, whoever wants to speak first, and then I'll just have you introduce your colleague when you're finished.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. My name is Michael Lane. I work with the Automotive Youth Educational Systems, specifically with ASC, and I'm titled an Industry Education Alliance Manager.
Thank you, Michael. If you'd like to give your testimony.
In Minnesota, for the past 16 years, I've been working with many high schools to produce the next generation of automotive, medium heavy truck, and collision technicians. I've been working throughout Minnesota because we look and seek to find those high-quality programs that really have a teacher that is industry credentialed. We find today that if you go under the hood of any car or truck, they're all computerized. And when a car is in an accident, all of that computerization has to be repaired. And I know my colleague to the right in a moment, he'll be talking about that. But I wanted to just share a little bit about ASC. We are a national 501c3 organization that has about 500 schools nationally that seek out those kind of high-quality programs. In Minnesota, we have about 13 of them. And I know that a previous slide talked about 180 automotive-type programs or transportation programs. But if we're looking at those programs that are truly teaching the skills that teach what needs to be taught to fix cars and trucks, they really have to have the industry background to provide that kind of knowledge to students. So our schools that we look for, we look for programs that are technically up to date, that prepare students for today's industry needs. Every 3 years we go through an extensive ongoing background to look at what is the future. And so that means that our curriculum and the work that we ask our students and teachers to do is pretty current. We ensure that the instructors are continuously networking, and so that their training is current, and we ask those same teachers to be credentialed with the industry credential of ASE. We actually ask or help students to ensure that their education is aligned to the industry needs, and we prepare them to be qualified as entry-level technicians that go to work in the kind of dealerships and independent shops that you seek out when your vehicle doesn't work. If you look on screen, we have numerous partners throughout the state, throughout the nation actually, and you'll recognize most generally a car that you might drive or a supplier that might provide them parts to fix the kind of problems that exist in today's world. And I actually would like to stop for a moment and let my partner just talk briefly.
Madam Chair?
Yes, if you could introduce yourself for the
Sure.
committee, please.
Sure. My name is Marty Wojciechowski, and I'm the marketing director for the Luther Automotive Group. And I want to say that the Luther Automotive Group is very proud to be a partner with our alliance partners and things that go on in the community. And you know, Mike mentioned that when you get up in the morning, the last thing you want is to not have your car work or run right properly. You know, and I'd be willing to bet everyone in the room, some way, shape, or form, jumped into something to get here, right, this morning. But when it doesn't run, that's a problem. And just like the problem we're having we had about 5 years ago at the Luther Automotive Group, we had a shortage of technicians. And we could either bury our heads in the sand and say it's going to go away, or we could jump in with both feet. So about 5 years ago, we initiated an initiative to really focus working with the local high schools and community colleges and these feeder programs. Because we found that by investing in that now is going to pay dividends down the road. And some of the things that when we talk about it, we look at job shadowing and internships and things, we actually bring students in and we actually pay them. But more importantly, we even took a look at when do we start, introducing people to this trade. And our policy has always been that you have to be a certain age to work at our dealerships. Well, we actually lowered our starting employment age to 17. And what we found is that if we can grab these young students at this time and get them excited about the automotive industry, they're going to stick with it. And we also took it one step further, and when we hire these 17-year-olds, by the way, we're not letting them drive your vehicles off the lot, okay? They're not going down to gas these things up. We are letting them drive around the lot and be able to move cars in and out of the shops. But we also provide them a 2-year online or 2-hour online defensive driving class or seminar through the National Safety Council. So we're doing some educating too, because we want to make sure if you are driving one of those Jags around the dealership lot that you're going to be able to get it back in one piece. Very important. So safety is important for us. But I think working with these local high schools and the automotive industry's had its bumps. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. In 2009, we were in tough shape. But I can tell you it's thriving today, and our units in operation as a state for the automotive industry is higher than ever. But remember, when you jump into that car and it doesn't run, and there's not anyone to be able to fix it, that's a problem. That's a big problem, because people aren't getting to their work or doing their lives or getting to what they need to do. And at Luther, we've jumped in with both feet, and we're really proud to be a part of this feeder program that goes on in these schools. And we're going to do everything we can to make sure that we make a big difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wojciechowski.
That's very good.
Very close. What is very exciting, though, is to see our industry partners step in, jump in, and work with our students.
Right.
Apprenticeships, internships, mentorships, and also to hear that there are even paid internships. So
Right.
Well done.
It's very important.
Madam Chair?
Yes. Mr. Lean.
I'd like to just continue a little bit more about the role that I play with the schools that I work with, and in a moment I'll identify those schools that I work closely with. But we really are an industry education cooperative piece. I attend somewhere around 33 advisory board meetings throughout the state of Minnesota each and every year. So for the past 15 years, I've done a lot of meetings, probably more than most generally anybody in this room. We really add the employer connection. I first met Wojciechowski at a meeting 5 years ago, and trust me, I had a very hard time pronouncing his name even yet today. But we bring people that have a designated interest in the future of not only their business, but for the future of kids, and to make them successful and to show them opportunities. I think it's sort of sad that, I don't have more partners up here today to, the construction industry, the manufacturing industry. Everybody that I work with throughout the state are in the same dire shape within the workforce needs. And I just would share with you that what I am doing is probably being done in other ways, other means, because with workforce, the population is growing and retiring. And in fact, I probably should have been retired a long time ago, but I have a passion to help kids find their future. And many times kids find their future by having a tool in their hands and to find success that they haven't found in other ways. When you look at the slide up there, these are the schools that I work closely with. I attend at least 3 business meetings with these folks, and I bring some of the folks to the table if the teacher can't find a business partner. So you'll notice some of the people up there from Osseo to St. Cloud to Anoka, Moorhead, Roosevelt High School in Minneapolis, St. Paul Public Schools. So you can look around Northeast Metro. We have connections, and those programs are where those young people aspire to fill the shoes of the retiring workers that are leaving our industry pretty rapidly. I would also say to you that we recognize the fact that many of our schools, even though we have a lot of population on paper, we don't necessarily see the results that focus within the transportation area. So in the past 2 years, with the help of partners like the Luther organization and others, we've put together our own middle school camps to help energize the youth when they're in that 8th and 9th grade, to at least show them within a 30-hour day school camp what could be. And we take them on tours to business locations. We teach them about the association of a remote-controlled car and how it might associate to the kind of car that you might drive here today, or truck. And last year we had 3 locations, and they were basically sponsored by the Minnesota Transportation Center of Excellence, which is a Minnesota state initiative.
Mr. Lean, before you move that slide, I just want to address Senator Tomassoni. I want to ask if you recognize where that photo is.
Madam Chair,
Senator Tomassoni.
Madam Chair, I was just about to say that I bought my last car from these guys.
Okay, thank you, Senator Tomassoni. Mr. Lean.
Madam Chair, maybe as I close out, what I wanted to say here today is that part of the role that we play with the ASC Industry Education Alliance.
Excuse me, Mr. Lean. Senator Tomassoni.
I probably should point out it was the Hibbing Chrysler Center, so I get that plug in there also. So
thank you.
Not just from these
It
guys.
is on the tape.
You're
Mr. Lean.
Madam Chair, duly noted, by the way. And they were a great partner, by the way, Senator. One of the last pieces I would like to share with you is that part of the work that we do with the students is that we introduce those young people that are attending those programs that are now seniors to a certification process. And that's it's a national industry certification, and that is shown up on the right-hand side. It's the ASC student certification, which is recognized by our industry. And just to give you an idea, this past year we had 18 schools that participated, and we had over 466 students that ended up getting an industry certification right in their location of school, or within their schooling. And I think if you notice at that slide, we also have one up there for manufacturing. I've been doing a little bit of work with Minnesota State to help bring some sort of a certification awareness to the manufacturing world. And so this past year, I've been helping with the certified production technician, and we're hoping to start rolling out some of that industry certification to those folks that teach in the manufacturing area in high schools throughout this next summer and into the following, or into our future. So it's kind of a little sideways. Most of the time I work in the automotive industry. So with that, I'm going to pause.
Thank you, Mr. Lean. And Ms. Lipa, if you could introduce yourself for the tape, please.
Madam Chair, my name is Jessica Lipa, and I'm the Director of the Secondary Technical Education Program and Director for Career and Technical Education for Anoka-Hennepin School District. Our STEP program is very unique to the state. We're a building that is built onto Anoka Technical College, so we are attached, and we're a school that serves primarily 11th and 12th grade students in our district and serving students and offering courses and programming in high skill, high demand, and high wage careers. Our goal is to provide our work with our workforce partners to offer programs and courses that meet the needs of our future workforce looking beyond 10 years and beyond, and making sure that we're providing real-world relevant education to our students. All of our courses offer opportunities for articulated college credit, concurrent enrollment, and or industry certifications in many of our areas. Without our partners at Anoka Technical College, there is no way that we'd be able to offer some of our programming. We share facilities, we share curriculum, we share a lot of our resources. However, last year, I get to tell you a little bit about a story about what happened last year when Anoka Technical College told us that they were going to renovate their automotive lab. That's a lab that we share with them, and our students, because of it, have an amazing automotive lab. However, it needed some renovation, and because of the scope of the work, the renovation had to start prior to the end of the school year. So to tell 50 automotive students that you aren't going to have a facility to work in for 3 weeks was not a good outlook for us. And so we leaned to our industry partners and worked with Anoka Tech and some of our industry partners, and we asked them for help. And as a result, our advisory board partners and there is several people and groups that came to the table and said, we would love to help. In fact, we'll do anything we can to get your students into our industries. We had support and partnerships from Minnesota Automobile Dealers Association, Luther Auto Group, Walzer Auto Group, Maury's Auto Group, and Subaru all came to the table and said, we would love to take your students for those 3 weeks, and we'd love to do whatever we can do. For the last 3 weeks of the school year, our students worked side by side with representatives from a variety of dealerships. They gained access to the training and curriculum that's available to industry partners, and they gained some really wonderful, relevant, hands-on education. As a result, many of our students were actually able to get summer internships and job opportunities. They demonstrated that they were capable and doing really well. Working with our industry partners is critical for us, and we know that we have not only a skills gap, but we have a need for good workers coming into the industry. And so this ended up being a perfect partnership with an innovative experience for our students. And I will tell you that the very first comment from all of our partners and the educators was, how are we going to replicate this and do this next year and better? And as a result, we're continuing that process over the course of the school year, but we're continuing to work with our representatives from business and industry to continue that partnership and continue our role. Programs like ours, this was an amazing opportunity that benefited our students, it benefited both business and industry, and we think that it provided a lot of collaboration and partnership that we couldn't have imagined, and they took it to the next level. So at that time, I'd like to thank you and offer you, if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. I am just extremely impressed with the involvement of industry in these projects, and I applaud and salute them all for stepping up and with apprenticeships, internships, mentorships, working with our public school students. I think, you know, there's some challenges in the workforce. We are seeing that. You mentioned some of those reasons, and the area that I represent is significantly suffering really from a workforce shortage. And so it's exciting to see that our business partners step up into that need and collaborate with our schools. And it's just really a triple win for students, industry, and customers. So well done. I would say challenges open the doors of opportunity, and I'm glad to see our industry has stepped through that area. So other questions from the committee? Well, I would, I would just say, I'll turn it over to Senator Uyghur here in a moment, but I would certainly be interested in that scalability factor and how can we look at scaling this up and making sure that students all across the state have these type of opportunities. And I'd be interested to know if there's any wait lists. In other words, do we have students who would benefit and who want these type of hands-on experiential learning that leads to a credential often, who are not getting it because of, and I'd like to know what those barriers are. Who could address that?
Madam Chair, I guess I'm the rubber, I could probably describe myself as where the rubber meets the road.
Yes.
I often see the barriers are some of the academic failures of students, and they get pulled out of a career and tech ed class because they've failed an arts class or they failed something along the way. And so they've spent maybe their junior year just getting excited about getting employed. And then they get pulled to take an academic class that oftentimes drives them out of school. And I'm being as honest as I can with you. I see that. I think the other thing, you talk about barriers, one of the things that in my estimation is a barrier, at least to our ASC Industry Alliance, is that we need to have qualified teachers. We've had a tremendous amount of teachers that have retired in the grouping that I've worked with in the slides that I talk about. And so that means that they're being filled by people that don't necessarily always have the background. Imagine, would you want to have somebody that didn't have the experience fixing your car or building your house or plumbing inside your house? Imagine that. We are now seeing, in some cases, I'm not on the partners that I show up there, but in some cases I hear the stories of math and science teachers, great teachers, but they don't have the experiences that it takes to do the work that we are asking for today in our business and industry. So that in itself, we need more community experts, and quite frankly, we maybe need a champion that really, in more of a state role, that is a champion of career and tech education that has maybe more financial power than exists today in the structure that we have. That's from my cheap seat.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Wojcicki.
One quick comment. I know we're running behind, but I can tell you that I get the opportunity to visit the local high schools, and I talk to the shop students as well as the instructors. And I think one of the biggest barriers that I have come across is that we kind of got in our heads that four-year college is the only way to go. You know, there is an opportunity, and my quest would be, I guess, is that let's give the students a chance to hear both sides. Let's look at a 2-year and let's look at a 4-year, and let's let the student decide. Because I think in society, it's always, 4-year, 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 and I hear that from counselors. I don't have the time, I don't know anything about it. There's a lot of misinformation that's out there, and I think that if more counselors knew the benefits of some of these careers that are in the 2-year field, there's a lot of students that could take advantage of that. So that would be my take from what I've heard firsthand, is that I think I don't want to say the word bias, but there's a little bit of a bias for 4-year colleges over a 2-year. So that's what I'm hearing.
Thank you. Any other comments? Senator Uyghur.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. Actually, my question related to yours regarding some of the challenges. I think it's been addressed. I just want to point out, I think in Senator Chamberlain's district and mine along 61, I believe it's on Highway 61, it's the biggest concentration of dealerships in the state, and it provides hundreds of jobs. And the local schools, the Century 916, the high schools have partnerships where these students, that if you have the grit, the attitude, you have multiple job offers.
Right.
And, it's there. And I praise the industry for what you're doing, to the dedicated staff, which we all appreciate. And I know that the policy committee will be looking at some licensure type issues and options, tiered licensure, et cetera, and, we have some challenges which I'm sure we'll be up to.
Thank you. I would just thank all the presenters today. I think you see some champions around this table. So you have some senators that are very interested in career and tech ed, and I would invite you to visit with my staff if there's if there's particular things that you think we can do to address these barriers. We definitely need this. Our economy needs this, and our students need this career tech ed. So thank you so much.
Madam Chair, don't adjourn yet.
Senator Tomassoni.
Madam Chair, so this stuff has been going on for a really long time, because when I go back to my own personal experience in my auto mechanics class as a senior in high school, and I knew nothing about a motor, I was paired with a kid from Balkan who worked on the farm and knew everything there was to know about a motor. And I went on to a 4-year liberal arts degree, but I'm sure he didn't. But he was very, very handy in the particular job of taking care of engines and fixing engines. And there's just different ways of learning for kids, and sometimes the 2-year college is actually a way better way to go than the 4-year college for many, many students. And just out of curiosity, once these guys get their certificates and are certified as an auto mechanic, what do they start what's their pay? What do they start at in one of these places?
I can, Madam Chair?
Yes, Mr.
I can
Wachowski.
address that. And the stats that I have, obviously when they come out of a 2-year program, they don't have all the answers yet, but we're working with them. And one of the things we do at the Luther Automotive Group is we partner them up with a mentor. Because the last thing we want to have a student get is disgruntled and saying, wow, this is not what hand them the keys to a 2016 Jaguar and say, I need it back by Friday. And they're like, they vapor lock, right? So we got to marry them up or partner them up with a mentor in that experience. So it takes a little bit of a time, but maybe I would say in about 6 months to 8 months, they've got what it takes to be a pretty good tech, okay? But I can tell you from the stats that I have from our department is that 58% of our technicians, and we have a tech population of probably north of 2,000 technicians at the Luther Automotive Group, 58% of those techs make between $50,000 and $80,000 a year. So well over half of our technicians, when they're up to speed, are making a very, very decent wage.
Thank you. Any further comments? Members, our next meeting is Wednesday. This meeting is adjourned.